Mark Bergin here on behalf of the Arthur Moats Experience. And today I'm going through my top quarterbacks by team in the AFC North Division. And we start at number one. I've got Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. And let me make the case why I would take Burrow over Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Both are 28 years old, and I understand that the Bengals are coming off a third place finish in the AFC North Division. The year before that, the Bengals finished last in the division, but I know with Joe Burrow that I can make a Super Bowl. He did it several years ago, and I go back to that playoff game against the Titans that he had when he got sacked 9 times in a game, and the Bengals still won. Being able to deliver and to make passes in the playoffs when it's do or die is the difference of what it takes to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And the Bengals' struggles a season ago weren't the fault of Joe Burrow. When he completed better than 70% of his passes, when he threw for nearly 5,000 yards, he had 4,900 yards through the air. There's a reason why they locked him, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins up long term. Again, I know you've had struggles the last few years, but to me, that's more a reflection of Cincinnati's defense, a defense that might get even worse if the Bengals don't lock up Trey Hendrickson to a contract extension. So keep an eye on that. But what's going to be more telling is how the Bengals perform now that Joe Burrow is making his money from his huge contract extension. And the same can be said about Lamar Jackson. Before I get to Lamar, though, I want you to keep in mind the Bengals defense was pretty putrid. Seventh in points allowed, 25.5 points per game a year ago, and then eighth in total defense. They were pretty good at taking the ball away and turnovers, but this defense needs to get better, and I don't think that's a reflection on Burrow. And again, I know you've had playoff success with Joe Burrow in when they made the conference championship game during the 2022 season, lost in the Super Bowl in the 2021 season. I know that was several seasons ago, but I'm still taking Joe Burrow as the top quarterback in the AFC North. And that leads me to Lamar Jackson, who statistically has been incredible. He's a video game quarterback. He's a multiple MVP winner. But I point this out. He is the only multiple NFL MVP winner not to reach a Super Bowl. He's 70-24, so he wins almost 75% of his games. He's coming off a season where he had 41 touchdown passes and only 4 interceptions, and that's not to shortchange his contributions as a rusher. He had 915 yards on the ground, 6.6 yards a carry, and so that tandem that he has with King Henry in the backfield, it's awfully tough to stop. But in the playoffs, when you need to deliver and make throws from the pocket and make throws down the field, when teams can game plan for them, and they do what the Steelers do against Baltimore, they keep the rushers in their lane, they widen out the splits. Come playoff time, Lamar Jackson hasn't done that. Coming off a playoff loss against the Buffalo Bills, it was a 27-25 loss. Jackson had 2 turnovers in the first half of that game. Until the Ravens at least reach a Super Bowl with Lamar, these same questions are going to continue to surface because he's a fun quarterback to watch. He's as talented as any as there is in the league, but he's a Madden quarterback. He's a Madden quarterback until he proves that he can do it in the postseason. And this is what's going to be telling with both Jackson and Burrow. Jackson signed a contract extension in 2023. It was 5 years, $260 million, but it was widely considered a 3-year agreement. So what happens when Lamar Jackson's salary cap figure for the 2026 season is nearly $75 million? $74.5 million. And the Ravens are going to want to go into next season with Jackson on a contract extension. Why is this important? Jackson's 28 years old. At what point do his rushing abilities diminish? We talk about how with NFL running backs are considered ancient by the age of 30. Could the same thing happen with Lamar Jackson where he doesn't have the same mobility that we've seen to this point in his career to where there are diminishing returns for what he's able to contribute with his legs? but his passing has to get better come the postseason. Until the Ravens have playoff success, those questions will continue to remain, despite the fact that he's led the Ravens to 3 AFC North titles, including the past 2. I've got Lamar Jackson as the second best quarterback in the AFC North. At number 3, Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers. He's 41. He's going to turn 42 in December. Is there any gas left in the tank, and does he want to go out almost like how Brett Favre did when Brett Favre went from the Jets to the Vikings to prove that he's not the quarterback you saw in New York? He had the Achilles injury. It stopped before he even got started in the 2023 season. The Jets, coming off a 5-12 season, really they couldn't protect Rodgers up front. And that's really the big question I have for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because the Steelers have a very young offensive line. Broderick Jones is moving over to left tackle, entering year 3. Troy Fautanu, Zach Frazier in year 2. Mason McCormick up front, young player as well. And then Isaiah Seumalo. Can they keep Rodgers upright up front for what is a very young offensive line, but an offensive line that the Steelers have invested heavy draft capital in? So then the next question is okay, I think Rodgers will be able to develop some chemistry with DK Metcalf on the outside, but then who's wide receiver 2? Can the Steelers go get another receiver? Is that receiver already on the roster? I'm a proponent of going to get another receiver, but again, Jets went 5-12 last year, nearly 3,900 yards through the air. Rodgers did play in all 17 games for the Jets, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. It was his worst statistical season since at least 2017. Again, he's 41, he's turning 42. Can Rodgers turn back the clock one more time in Pittsburgh? We'll see, but I've got him as the third best quarterback in the AFC North. And at 4, I don't even know which Browns starter to name. It's kind of funny. Joe Flacco is going to be 40 or is 40. Kenny Pickett, I think the nicest thing I could say about him is that he won a Super Bowl. But they rode Flacco out of town despite the fact that he salvaged the Browns season, 2-3 years back when Deshaun Watson went down. Deshaun Watson, by the way, likely out for the season. The Browns are paying him $46 million. And if Cleveland really knew what it was doing at the quarterback position, why would you draft 2 quarterbacks in the same draft in Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel? And Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, the Browns haven't drafted 2 quarterbacks in the same draft since 1976, which was the same year, oh, by the way, in 1976, there were 17 rounds of the draft. So you draft Shedeur Sanders. Right now, this might be something we look past once the season gets going, but he's been cited twice for speeding tickets in Cleveland. He's going 101 the other week, and then it wasn't even the first time he had gotten cited. He was going 91 in a 65-mile-per-hour zone. He's been cited twice. And that's your starting quarterback, and this is why other teams didn't want to draft him if Shedeur Sanders is going to be the backup and generating all of this buzz and headlines and off-the-field stuff. Again, we'll see. If his talent rises above that, we will see. He'll get his opportunity, but then Dylan Gabriel as well, drafted before Sanders. What Cleveland is doing, I don't even know which guy to rank because I don't know who the Browns starter is going to be. I would assume it's going to be Joe Flacco, even at the age of 40, considering what he did to salvage the Browns season when Deshaun Watson went down, and he helped guide the Browns to the playoffs. In his familiarity with Kevin Stefanski and the Browns offensive system, that would be my guess, but I don't know. So whoever the Browns starting quarterback is who I would rank in the 4th position. So to recap, I've got top 4 quarterbacks in the AFC North: Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, and then whoever the Cleveland Browns start at the quarterback position. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do I have it totally right? I do think that Lamar's more talented than Burrow, but again, it's the playoff question and the playoff performance and the style of play. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, my name is Mark Bergin, signing off on behalf of the Arthur Moats Experience.